Hello and welcome back to All Things Real Time. I am, of course, HaRT. I'm joined, as always, by Lorimbo, and we have a special guest for this one because this week we're going to be talking about Katowice, which will be starting tomorrow. So we're trying to get our last-minute predictions in and give some kind of commentary on that. We're joined by Fjant, who is an up-and-coming Swedish player. He's been playing the last couple of Home Story Cups for Team HaRT, and he is, of course, a Zerg player since we only allow Zerg players on this podcast. Hello, Fjant. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was out in the cold touristing my own city for school. So I had a great day. Froze to death on my way here. I'm doing good.
And Lorimbo, how are you?
Terribly, as always.
That's
So it's
good to
always the
hear.
same.
So good
Yeah,
to hear. I'm so
life
glad.
sucks. Life is terrible. Think about it. Anyway, anyway, this is absolutely our first cut because we are amazing at doing things improvised. Our plan for today is gonna be to talk about SC2 Katowice. So for those who might not be as familiar with the world of StarCraft 2, which you should get into, it's a beautiful game. Katowice is considered the biggest tournament that is presented all year around. It used to be the World Championship, but I think that now has changed for the Gamers event in July. But it's still a premier tournament with $500,000 on the line. All of the top players are going to be participating. This is the apex. And traditionally speaking, even though it might not be the World Championship anymore, practically speaking, this is basically equivalent to being the world champion. So we are going to go over some of our predictions, maybe make a tier list or two. Let's take a look at the groups and just generally talk about the meta game.
Yeah, let's go right to it, right? Let's get into the groups. I've got those ready this time. I mean, ready. They should be showing up on you guys' screen now. So that's Group A, Gumiho, Solar, Spirit, Hero Marine, Scarlet, and Trigger. So some from Korea, some from the NA qualifier, and then 2 from Europe as well. So that's, yeah, a good mix.
I mean, this group is one. Like, I think this is not the strongest group, of course, because we got Group D.
Yeah.
But it's. I don't think it's the easiest group either. We got Sola and Gumiho as the top 2 coming into it, and then the third spot up for grabs. Now, maybe Traeger can do some upsets, but it's most likely gonna be Spirit, Hero Marine, or Scarlet. Who's ever playing better.
I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion on Gumi of Fjant recently?
Well, I don't really watch Korean StarCraft. Honestly, I don't find his gameplay that good most of the time, but he gets good performances and he's second EPT seed, right? So
Gumi was an interesting one. He was like famous for playing mech, and then he either went to the military or took a break, I forget, and came back and only played. Thank you for rubbing the microphone. And only played bio, and his bio doesn't look bad. So for a long time, people were like, "Oh, he's like a mech god," and then he came back and stopped playing mech, and he still, is pretty good. I think it's not unfair to say that this is like a good patch for Terran. So I think his hopes of getting out of this group are pretty much sealed. It would be an upset if he didn't get out of the group. I think the fight for first position for like between him and Solar is quite tight, but Solar I think has been in pretty good form lately.
Yeah, Solar is really, really good. Always been underestimated by one of the most solid Zerg players in existence. I am more interested actually in that third spot because I think you could make good arguments for Spirit and Hero Marine, and you could even make a good argument for Scarlet, who I'm a big fan of. Scarlet ZVT has historically been her best matchup, but I'm not sure how much she practices. Because she has her hand busy with other things at the moment, with zero space, which we are gonna be talking about probably next week.
So, next week for sure. Yeah. Scarlet's an interesting one. Did beat Maru last GSL, which was a massive upset. But if with a group with this many Terrans in it, if she can kind of keep that pace up and kind of stay on that kind of form, that would be really good for getting into that third spot. I do think the kind of the odds are against her a little bit. My money would be on Hero Marine for that one, I think. What do you guys think?
I think Spirit.
Okay.
I mean, I do think Spirit is the favorite, but Trigger has insane PVT as far as I understand.
This is what I also wanted to say, yeah.
So I wouldn't underestimate him, because mainly because Hero, Mean Spirit, and Gumiha, they have one Protoss in their group. I mean, it is a lot easier to practice against tosses. I mean, just go anywhere and you will find them, but it's a bit harder to prepare for one opponent compared to 2 or 3.
So top 3, I think we're top 2. We're saying Gumiho solo really easily, and then that third spot's a bit contentious. Group B is, I guess, the group of Terran.
The
Clem,
whole tournament is the tournament of
Terran, but this group: Clem, Cure, Oliveria, who is obviously the previous winner. He's like the cup holder of this tourney. Bunny, Shin, who is obviously previously Ragnarok, and Stats. It's an interesting one. Clem, obviously coming off of his win in the US. I think you can't say anything but he's the favorite for this group, right?
Yeah, his TVT has been looking really solid. I think there is no discussion. He's the favorite for number 1 or at most number 2. But I do have to say there is Cure in this group, and I've seen Cure play those TVTs against Maru or against other top Terrans, and they looked pretty convincing. TVT is a matchup that I've seen swing in an unexpected way. I remember Hero Marine also performing pretty well in that sense. So that there's definitely something here, especially with the new Cyclone meta. I'm very curious to see how these players have adapted. Oliveira will always be scary, of course, especially because Oliveira is usually slightly below the top level player, but when he's good, he's really good, and we have seen that in the Cinderella run last DreamHack, where he also won 4-2 or 4-1 against Maru in the finals.
4-1 from memory,
yeah. Also proved to have a very strong TVT. For that third place, I could see Ragnarok doing it. Ragnarok is a player that has had unexpected highs, especially that one GSL run-up result. But I am not really that convinced by Bunny or Stats here, unfortunately.
I honestly, like Ragnarok or Shen is such a big question mark for me. Yeah, he's not having a great few months though, right now.
Yeah, I agree for sure. He got really kind of popular when he was playing like proxy hatch in every game, which was amazing and awesome, and it was hilarious, so based. But because of how the meta is right now, I think that's completely unviable. I think there is like, I'd bet a lot of money that he never does that at Katowice, right? So he needs more special tactics.
Bro,
okay, there's
you're
one
crazy. You're crazy, bro. He's gonna proxy hatch 100%. It's Ragnarok, bro. It's Shin, whatever you want to call him. He's gonna proxy hatch. This is my boy. Why are you doubting him? Why are you doubting my favorite Korean player? What the hell?
Okay. So maybe there's a proxy hatch against Stats. Maybe he's been watching some of Fjant's games at Homestar Cup.
Yeah, sure.
The Fjant build.
I've always seen Oliveira as a TVT sniper. He can snipe any Terran. So in this group, where he's not versusing as good of a Tross or a Serral player that he can beat, not that hard, I could honestly see him making second place in this group.
Really? Okay. But we're pretty firm again that this is going to be Clem out first, right?
Yeah, Clem first.
I mean, TVT is always a mystery, but if everything goes according to how it should go, quote unquote, Clem is a big favorite.
3 turns out of the group.
3 turns out of the group. In every match, in every group, 3 turns out of the group.
True. We haven't said his name yet,
enough Terrans. Enough Terrans.
I think Stats kind of clanging in there at the bottom of the group. I don't love it. It's going to be rough.
I mean,
he's back from the military, which is cool, and we need more Protosses back, but like he hasn't really shown up in much, I think.
Yeah, his results haven't been excellent, but I will mention that he didn't manage to qualify for this, upsetting several good players, including Creator, to the chagrin of our favorite Cobblestone. So there's definitely an argument to be made that he's definitely not a top contender, but he might surprise that. Now, that being said, I will still be very surprised if he managed to qualify. Anyway, let's move on. Hopefully, we have the graphics ready to Group C and Group D. Oh, wow. Look at the production value.
Somebody give the producer a raise.
This
True.
is what I waited 1 hour for. Thank
Yes.
God this is on time.
Since Fjant had to wait 1 hour due to technical difficulties, I'm proposing now that we double our pay to him, right, HaRT?
Double
Yeah.
pay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we
Even
could
tripling.
quadruple it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why
Yeah.
not? We can triple our
For
pay.
real,
So,
for real.
yeah, good news, Fjant. Your pay is currently being quadrupled.
Wait,
Every
we're
time
paying him an exposure, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
So Lorimbo, since you're a math teacher, how much is 0 times 3?
Fuck. This is a hard question. I mean, Reddit told me it somehow makes 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 0. Anyway,
Group
Okay,
C,
Fjant, do you wanna
first
read this
place,
group?
I
Yeah,
don't
go for
think anyone can argue that it's
Yeah,
not Serral
it's my
first
boy
place.
Calazur. Let's go, Diego.
yeah, let's go, Diego!
He's on a new
Diego!
team.
I want to see you win! Okay.
He's
sorry.
on a new team. He's unstoppable.
I mean, I love Diego. He's such a nice guy. In the playrooms of Jönköping Dream, we were talking about how to buff Tarn and that we're gonna give Hellbats charge. So
This sounds fair.
If-
sounds fair.
sounds fair. So if he gets that patch into this group, then he will win.
Yeah, I do believe that. Okay,
Okay.
this group is Serral, who we are gonna talk about more probably later. He's out of this group 100%.
I mean,
Then-
there's never 100%, but if Serral did not make it out of the group, I will be astonished by his
If-
opponents.
If Serral can make it out of this group, I'm blaming Balance so high.
Yeah, actually, we want Serral not
True.
make it out, because if Serral managed to somehow not make it out of the group, we are getting buffed next patch, baby.
Let's
Serral is
go.
getting buffed. Anyway, so outside of the obvious number 1, I actually have strong opinions about this group.
So Björn,
Okay.
Estrella, Kelazur, Skillus, and Firefly. The fight for third is pretty strong here too.
Hear me
Yeah.
out.
Okay, I know what you're about to say. I'm nearly
What
certain.
am I about to say? What am I
You're
about
saying
to say?
Estrella goes second.
Yes! Max!
Good,
Okay,
Dance.
listen up.
Okay,
Okay. Max is the clown Protoss, you know? If there is one man who can upset the Koreans, who can like get those upset, well, there's only one Korean other thing. Okay, there's one man that can upset everything and just make a giant mess of the group. He is that man. I have infinite faith. Is my favorite Protoss actually, because I love watching the weird shit he gets up to, and I think he can do it. Okay, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
I honestly think Estrella is gonna beat Beyond, then lose to Firefly, and then get third place by the map score.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I'd love to see that. That's such a classic Estrella move.
Yeah, Bjarne and Astrea anyway, definitely favorites for the second and third spots.
Mhm.
I actually could see, I think this is one of the closest group for the second and third spot, unironically, because I could definitely see Kelazur and Skillus also making out as second, for example. Like, it is not clear to me. Maybe Kelazur is a bit on the weaker side. I don't know how much he practices. Sorry, Diego, you know I love you. But I could still see him. Like, if you told me, Kelazur beats Bjarne, Astrea, and Skillus and goes second, I wouldn't be too surprised. Now, if you told me he beats Serral, that would be a bit slightly more surprising.
On this patch, anything is possible.
On this patch, every Terran dream can become true. Every normal player can become a champion in this patch.
We're looking at you, Akrej.
My man Akri is gonna win Katowice.
And then at the bottom of this group, Skillus and Firefly. Honestly, I think these will be pretty good matches. I would love them to be on stream because I think these are going to be like just fun to watch, just bangers. Firefly had a bit of a like god run and looked, I don't want to say surprisingly good because he's good, but like for how good you would kind of imagine him in your mind in terms of like the global scene, he's definitely outperforming that. So this I think would be interesting to watch. His chances of qualifying for both of those two, not the best.
Yeah. Skillus is someone that I want to shine a spotlight before we move on, because he has been inconsistent. Similar to the Ragnarok discussion, I've seen Skillus perform to the top of the European scene, which is also the top of the world, Because remember, at the moment, the European scene is most likely, in my opinion, stronger than the Korean side of things. Get fucked, Korean weeaboos, Korean coppers.
Korea booze, yeah.
Korea booze. But I also have to admit, in the past maybe 6-8 months, I have not seen him perform that well. I think Skillus is someone who gets really he doesn't perform that well under pressure. He really gets into his own head. That's the feeling I got from him, especially because every time, even when he performs really well, he always seems to feel really bad about it, like he could have done more. So I wish him the best of luck because I really, really like him as a player. It's been a blast meeting him. But I think his performance in this year has not been up to his previous year.
Yeah, but we haven't kind of seen these players so much lately, and their form coming into Katowice could be like completely unpredictable. Could be anything. Fjant, do you have any closing remarks on Group C?
It's honestly this group is decided by it's very form heavy because most of these players are pretty close to each other in my mind, and I don't really see Firefly, Skillus, Kalish, or Astray often at all. So it's a bit of a question mark. I think if they're not versus each other and you can see the first round, that would be way easier.
Yeah.
But like I think Scaleless Firefly is gonna almost crash into the pressure. The pressure is very high.
Yeah.
Group D,
Okay.
D for death, of course. We have to say we have to
D
lose
for-
3 of the following 6.
D for the dick. D for the dick that Cyan is about to get in this group. Oof.
Honestly, poor Cyan.
So we're losing 3 of the following 6. Dark, Maru, Reina, Hero, Showtime, and Cyan. Cyan must have seen this group draw and just been like, I'm going back to bed, fuck this. There's no way he's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, they're like, okay, good news, Cyan, you're in the last group, along with the best players in the world right now. Dark is in pretty good form, it has to be said. Just joined his new team, Team Talon. I think this is the one, and we'll talk about this more later because of my tier list ranking, but Dark, this is the one that he wants to win. This is the one right before he retires. This is his like last chance. I mean, there's always like coming back from military, but you know, who knows what the StarCraft scene looks like in 1 year, 2 years, however long it takes him. Maru is always terrifying. He is like insane. His form fluctuates, like crashing out of GSL like he did in the end of last year was weird and like not like him at all, but let's be honest, this is Katowice. It was pretty much a walk for him to get to the grand finals last time. Reina has been doing the hyperbaric time chamber from Dragon Ball at his grandma's house, so he's unstoppable.
Reina has closed himself off for the past month. He has been grinding so hard he went insane. Of course, I'm incredibly biased in that. So let's talk about our actual prediction.
Why are you biased?
What do you mean? Because he's Italian, of course. I also know
you're
him
from
personally.
Mexico, aren't you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, true. I forget where I'm from, you know how it goes. Anyway, let's talk. Okay, out of the 6 players, who do we think actually gets out? Fjant, you first.
I think Reina is gonna be first, Maru second, and Hero third. I think Reina is like when he gets going, when Reina wants to win something, he gets going. And watching him in the weeklies, he's just like for the last month, he's been getting a lot better. Just more practicing. Maru just always strong. There's nothing really to talk about there. I think this is gonna come down to the Hero Dark. And that matchup is always a clown fiesta, where I think both of them has been throwing for the past 15 minutes, but I'm still not sure who's actually winning this game. But somehow, one guy throws even harder than the other guy. You know, so it's a very...
It'll be Proxy Gateforge against Proxy Hatchery, and then we'll see who can throw the least number of times and win it.
Yeah, who's gonna out-clown the other?
Clowning.
Like I saw Dark versus Hero. Dark scouts glaive attempts. He puts down the spire. Starts 10 drones.
But
and then insta-dice to the clip attacks.
No, but Mutas do bonus versus light, so that's a good matchup. And,
No, they don't.
and
What
Adepts
are you
can't shoot
talking
up.
about?
Adepts can't shoot up.
What are you talking? Mujita do not do
Do
bonus
Mutas
to
do
light.
no bonus to nothing? Actually?
What?
I thought that's why they killed. I thought that's why they killed Workers Quid.
You're a grandmaster player. How do
Okay,
you not know this?
producer Lilypad, I need you to check the patch changes for Mutas, because at one point they did do that balance the light.
Is this a Iba moment or a Cobble moment?
Do you know what
This is-
happened? Do you know what
It's a
happened?
hard
Is
one.
I
Real
used,
GM, by the way.
Mutas are my favorite unit. I used to make Mutas every game. I stopped making Mutas, and my MMR went up like 1,000 points because they're not good.
You know, I had one of these moments with Sab a couple of days ago. I was sure that an Infaster cost more than it did.
That's not quite so bad. But it took me it took me a year to learn that infestors didn't have infested Terran anymore, and you can figure out how I learned how that got removed. It's when I shift clicked them, and then they popped out of the ground and casted a million shrouds all over the Protoss ball.
Well, it's the psychological tactics. Anyway, I'm gonna break Fjant's confidence with a counter prediction. You know?
Yeah, counter prediction.
I think Dark Maru Raynor, so not Tiro. But, and this is where it gets interesting, I think the weakest link there is Maru.
So,
I said it!
So when you say Dark Maru Raynor, that's not your pick order, right? That's not your first, second, third. That's just the three.
Raynor, Dark, Maru, in this order, I think. And I think the weakest link there, it could come second, but if there is someone who I could see not having a spot and instead giving it to Hero or even Showtime, actually, it's Maru. Reasoning for this is Maru has not been looking good recently. Historically speaking, in Katowice, he has always. Let's be honest. For a player of his caliber, he has always underperformed. So it will be really reliant on his form. I could see him win the entire tournament, to be clear. But I will have to see that first game. If he looks good, then I'm sure he could even end up first. But if he does like the last, if he performs like the last months, I could actually see him getting out. Okay, just you. I don't know why you removed them, but the closing remarks are, yeah, they're gone. At least I don't see them. Oh, okay, now they're back.
Oh, okay. They're not gone from the video, but they're gone from you. Okay.
Okay. I could see Hero do it. I could even see Showtime do it. I mean, I love Cyan, but you ain't getting out of it. Like, if Cyan gets out, it's actually like a Oliveria level miracle.
Okay. I think
you just don't believe.
Dark first, Raynor second, Maru third. I think Maru, I agree. I think Maru is shaky as anything. Maru just didn't look like on form. He didn't look like practiced last time we saw him. It's possible he's put in a lot of work, but here's the thing. I think he's pretty checked out at this point. I think he's kind of over it. I think he has been for a little while. He always can, so long as he gets out of the group, it's fine, I guess, and he always turns it on in group stages. But for me right now, Maru's looking shaky. Dark first, it's my boy, he's going to do it, I believe. Raynor above Hero, I think is pretty easy. Hero, I think, and this is my prediction, I would put money on this, is going to do some clown shit that's going to look terrible and lose. And then we're going to get more Reddit balance whining like, oh, the best Protoss in the world just lost 5-0 in groups, 5-2.
Okay, is there anyone who actually thinks that Hero is the best Protoss in the world?
Absolutely, there are. Personally, I think Classic is the best offline toss, but Max Twix is the best toss overall.
But Classic
didn't
qualify.
Sad that Classic didn't make it.
Am I crazy or Classic didn't qualify?
Yeah, Classic didn't make it.
It didn't make it.
In creative.
Yeah, but it was one of the upset with the stats thing. But like when Classic actually managed to get to tournament, I've seen him perform really, really well.
Yeah, at Game 8 he did really well for sure. Yeah.
Better than Hero, in my opinion. I think Max is better than both, to be clear, but he doesn't play, so.
Yeah. So anyway, because now obviously they're gonna do the groups, and then it will go into like where everyone starts playing against each other, and I think we know who's gonna play against who, but it gets all confusing. So I thought instead of messing around with like the brackets that are going to be really hard for us to figure out, we're just going to do tier lists. Does anyone want to go first?
I'm willing to go first.
Okay, I'm going to put your tier list on the screen now. Ready?
Yeah.
Production value.
Okay.
You love to see it.
So this is my prediction. I'm gonna start from the bottom up, if that's right. Okay, so let's talk about this. So I put 4 players in the no chances in group stage. The one I'm the most shaky on is Trigger, mostly because his PvT is really good and he does have 3 Terrans. But historically speaking, Trigger has been really nice to me. I feel so bad. He's gonna think that I hate him, but it's not true. I love you, Trigger. I promise. But I have to be honest, buddy. Your performance has not been looking so so consistent overall. You have had some very good upsets. I remember you winning against Fjant, that was amazing. But I will be surprised to see you qualify. Now that being said, is by far the one that will be the least surprised. Then we have Stats. As I talk about, I just don't think he's any good right now. He did have the upset with qualifying, but I just don't think he can do it. I'm sorry, Stats. You haven't looked good, okay? Maybe you need like a couple more months to get back into the top player performance, but so far he hasn't shown me anything impressive. And even the upset that he got were a bit shaky, mostly due to other people throwing or PvP matchups, etc. Firefly, he has been a dark horse. Like, in a sense, I could see him like prove to be a super good player randomly, but so far he hasn't shown me anything that was it was impressive for his perceived level, but nothing close to the top level yet. And I think the weakest player by far is in the whole tournament is unfortunately Cyan. Well done on qualifying, and if you do well, I will be happy for. I'm always rooting for the underdog, but I don't see him, especially in the group of death. Like I would be putting a lot of money if he qualifies. Regardless, for C, I actually put Gumio here. Hear me out. I think Gumio is overrated. I think his bio is better than his mecha. I think he will qualify for playoffs, most likely. But I'm not so sure it's actually that strong. Now, as you see, I've put him in a strong C. These are ordered, by the way.
Okay.
Most of them. I think the S tier are not ordered, or at least I fucked up the order. I change my mind constantly on the first 2. But the C ones are ordered. So Gumio, I definitely think I could make a good run. Like, I was indecisive between B and C. But I do think he's a bit overrated. He has looked a bit shaky. Maybe I'm just biased because other players have looked better than him. But to me, Gumio has always been a player that relies on gimmicks. And historically speaking, those kind of players have not done well on Katowice. So I could definitely see it for playoffs. Maybe even second or first in his group, even though I think Solar is much better, as I've said. But I'm not convinced at all. Now, Scarlet, as I said, I can definitely see her compete for the playoffs, especially because there are 3 Terrans. Bunny, I could kinda see it, but it's a bit unlikely. I'm not as hopeful as with Ragnarok, Kelazur, and Skilus. Reasoning being, Bunny has had some really high peaks in his career, where with some insane all-ins, he has managed to snatch up victories against stronger players. Same goes for Ragnarok, but I just think Bunny is overall in a better form right now. At least that's what it looked for me. And as I said, Kelazur and Skilus, I'm not that convinced. They are good players, don't get me wrong, but their group is pretty hard, and I'm gonna be surprised if they make it. Moving on B, as I said, Spirit, a strong contender actually. I think he's favored to definitely qualify for the number 3 or even number 2, above Gumio. Hero Marine, same idea really. I could also see the same thing happening. Oliveria is always a dark horse. Bian is always strong, even though I think we haven't seen him perform that well. And you have to account for the fact that in offline tournaments, he has been pretty shaky recently. Astrea, as I said, I have pretty good chances. I'm hopeful about. But anything above round of 12 will be a bit surprising. Same goes for Iron Showtime. This is the Iron Showtime rating is correlated with the Maru one, in the sense that, as I've said, I put Maru in S tier spoiler, but that is on the condition that he actually prepared and is in form.
Mhm.
The same idea goes for Raynor, by the way. Those two players have been shaky. Raynor has proven that he can absolutely train and focus, so I'm a bit more hopeful about him. But Maru has not been looking good. I think if he actually qualifies, I think Hero and Showtime are not gonna qualify, and Maru's gonna look really strong in the playoffs. But I could also definitely see Hero and Showtime qualifying over Maru in the group stage. This is the reason for the discrepancy between my group stage prediction and my actual rating. For 8 year, we have Solar. Always, I consider putting in S. Always a strong contender. I always underestimate him. He's such a good Zerg. Just very, very solid. Same goes for Cure. Unbelievably good Terran. And Dark, he has never won. He never wins when he expects to win. He always very arrogant player, very confident player. Is always a bit surprising, but his performance against Hero recently has convinced me that he's not that informed or is hiding his strategies. Moving on the favorites, these ones they are not in order because I genuinely cannot tell. So Clem, looking absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing. His performance at Atlanta. No, was it Atlanta?
Yeah.
Where it was? Yeah, it was Atlanta. Okay. His performance at Atlanta has been looking fantastic. He looked unstoppable in that. Convincingly beat Serral, convincingly beat everyone. Nothing to say. A clear favorite. I think if I had to put my money on one, it's gonna be on Serral, as always. I mean, it's the obvious prediction. He's the best player in the world. He has been the best player in the world for the past 5 years, 6 years, maybe, depending on where you want to place him. He's insane. I don't know what to say about him. Yona, if you're listening to this, you are my candidate. I'm gonna bet on you. Now, Raynor, strong contender. I'm biased, but he has shown that when he does practice, he has unbelievable performance. Coming strong in these tournaments. He won one Katowice previously. He also won the last Gamers 8, which was a lot of money and a preparation tournament. So he did prove that by preparing, he can definitely perform. I think out of all of these players, when Raynor is in top form, is the best player that we have ever seen in the entire history of the game. When Raynor is actually focused and everything, is unstoppable. But the problem is, there is a reason why it's called the 50-50, man. And that's because he's not consistent. Ricardo, you have to win this. Okay? I believe in you. Maru, as I said, always a strong contender. This is the one I consider. I could switch Maru and Serral, honestly. As I said, Maru, very dependent on his form. If he's in good form, he's absolutely a top contender. He has proven once and once again all of these things that, I mean, I think he just could definitely win it. Moving on.
Not a bad list. For me, Gumiho might be Cure tier. There's no way he's in C. Absolutely no way. For me, Gumiho and Estrella, I could switch easily. There's just no way you think Gumiho is not better than Hero Marina's Spirit. There's no way.
I do think so most of the time, yeah.
Fjanton?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would put Gumiho higher. Other than that, Hero would put higher. Not
really
much
interesting.
More.
Hero, come on! After those last results.
Yeah, Masters Colosseum. I mean, in the last month, he's been looking good.
Yeah, that's true. I think you've put Showtime. Showtime is a tier above, like Scarlet Bunny, Shin, Kellers, or Skillers. Maybe,
this
maybe
doesn't
he's in
feel
there.
accounted for the group, so sometimes.
Yeah.
The taking Hero Showtime one specific.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really hard to account for groups.
It's so hard to say.
I tried to make realistic prediction, and that's why I put Maru in S, because it's such a guy. Like, that's the problem. Some of these predictions were really hard. Like, I had to consider, for example, like Gumio almost surely will make it out of playoff, if you want to be actually clear.
Yeah.
But do I see him make a good run? I'm not sure. I think he got like a group in which he might excel due to it being TVT. But I do not think he's actually that good of a player, unfortunately. As I said, I think it's a big gimmick. But let's see the other tier list, guys. I want to see your.
Right, the only thing I was going to say, other thing. Your S tier, to me, is ordered properly. You said you weren't sure what the order. For me, that order is exactly right. There's
I
Clem
think Clem and
first.
Serral. I will
Serral,
switch Clem and Serral, probably.
Really? I think Clem's form in Atlanta looked insane. He was
But he
beating Serral all over the
but
shop.
he performs poorly under pressure.
We'll see. Fjant, I'm going to put yours up next.
Yeah, my cat is kissing my face. One sec.
Cute.
Talk us through it. What put you up?
Lorimbo was gonna tell me I was not. But you can start from the bottom. I mean, I asked Lily who Science did beat, and he did beat DRG and Liang. DRG beat Classic to knock him out. Sorry, Sab. I'm reminding you of this again. You can go cry in your corner. But stats, I mean, I don't really see that much of him, but I think he looks decent. Not a top player, but he looks decent. So can complete for playoffs. I feel like these are all the players that are completely dependent on form. I don't really see a lot. Oh, like Bunny was last time I saw Bunny. Really, I don't know how he looks. Hero Marine, I think with how it's been looking recently, it's all in those. Okay, cat, don't block my screen. I can't see my tier list. Please get out. You can be next to me, not in front of the screen, please. I want to see my tier list, okay? Not now. Where Firefly, Spirit, Kala, Shore, like all of these players can be so good. They can really compete for playoffs. I don't think they're gonna go super far in the playoffs, but they can make it there. B, unlikely to win, but most likely in the playoffs, or most likely making a good run. Now Shen here, the big question mark man himself. I didn't really know where to put him, honestly, with Astreas Skelos being a bit of wild cards as well. But the main five, Solar, Pian, Cure, Oliveira, Kumiho, I feel like most likely are gonna be playoff players. Just they are really good. Next chance.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm surprised about this Solar placement.
Solar placement, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
That's a low.
That's why it's in the highest B tier.
Yeah, but also Cure. Do you think that Cure? Cure has been looking pretty good recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the next one is have a chance to win. I don't think he has a chance to win.
You think Solar doesn't have a chance to win though? Solar won GSL.
I don't think he's gonna make that far.
Okay, fair enough.
Please continue.
Hero and Dark. I talked about Shin being a wild card. These two, honestly, I don't know. These players can look so incredibly good, and then I look at them and I see Dark getting hatch blocked and then taking his natural 35 seconds late without spending a larva. So he's floating 700.
And he still wins the game.
He still wins the game because Creator decided to do a sentry push versus a 50 worker Mass Ravager Dark. Or actually, I think Creator won that game specifically.
Do you think Creator just has PTSD from that time that Rogue proxy hatched him after he blocked Rogue's hatch? So like anytime he actually successfully blocks a hatch now, he's like can't ever win.
I did switch Dark in Hero. It's because I think Hero's a bit better than Dark at the moment. Now, the last time they did play in the...
That's an insane prediction, bro. After watching Hero versus what was it? Hero versus Raynor, the two throwmen. No, come on. I cannot see Hero that high. This is cold.
This is
I need to look at the head-to-head.
Fjant doesn't believe that it's possible to win PVZ.
Yeah.
It's true. But the last time they played was a 4-0 for Dark, if I remember. But it's very... let's see. So in 2024, Hero has a 57 win rate. 2023, 66. 2022, 63. So I would say he's very favored. Or very favored. He's favored. Just over one.
Okay. S tier.
And
The same 4
S
people
tier?
again.
Well, Maru, I put him last because I don't know where he is. Clem, he has been a bit burned out, it seems, after that magical run in America. So it depends on if he has recovered. If he has, maybe even first. But the last week or 2, he's not been looking super great. Rainer, Serral. I think Serral is the best player in the world, has been for a long time, and I think Rainer is having his Super Saiyan arc.
Yeah, Reno has gone as the grandma buff.
The grandma buff.
Is that why Reina dyed his hair? To try and get the like Super Saiyan colors in it? Makes
I
sense.
mean,
No,
like we talk about the Rainer grandma buff, Lorimbo. My grandma buff.
true.
Too insane. Too insane.
It's a good list. I think this list is pretty uncontroversial. I think maybe the biggest thing is Solar is probably underrated.
I think Solar and Cure are underrated and the hero is very overrated. Gumio, as I
Really?
said, I
You
don't
think
mind
Hero
Gumio
doesn't have a
being
chance
MVP.
to win?
No. Absolutely not. Yeah, come on. Okay, Hero is a fucking memer. If he wins, it's like if I see Hero win one more time because of some random things that he pulled out. Like, no, like there are Protoss players that are like a lot, not Hero. No, come on. What the hell? Actually, like, have you seen his performance at Master Colosseum? He was trolling every fucking game.
And he came to the finals.
Yes, man, that's because Protoss is OP.
It's
Nothing
called
to
failing
do.
upwards. I've been doing it my whole life.
Like he's consistently
Works.
trolling and winning.
It
That's
works.
that's my reasoning.
Okay, fair
He's
enough.
consistently trolling, but he consistently wins. I don't know how.
Okay, I'm gonna switch to my tier list. But I want to like caveat it. I made this like 3 weeks ago in 2 minutes. I don't remember what I've picked, but I'll try
I
my
don't
best
remember what
to
I
talk
picked.
through it. You can see it didn't take me very long. It didn't take me long.
Holy shit. Okay, I'm just gonna say, okay,
Yeah.
you have put less than 12 people in the can make round of 12.
Okay, but here's my point. They might as well just skip groups. Just I don't know, make it a round of how many people are there? 6,
24.
This is
9,
so
11.
Okay,
That's fine.
I'm just saying, by mathematical certainty, one
Yeah.
of the people that you have put in no chances in group stage
Yeah.
is gonna
Will
qualify.
be through. Yeah. But I'm saying they shouldn't. They don't belong there.
What the fuck?
No. I don't mean that. Whoever does get through, I don't mean that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Diego's gonna stab you next time story.
He better. But he'll be rich, so I don't mind. Okay. I said D, but this I didn't really read the labels, and you have to remember, okay, when I made this, I didn't have the groups in front of me. Okay? So I didn't actually know who had bad groups. So don't worry about it. I still don't have the groups in front of me, but
And he
it's
put
fine.
sign on the SMH.
Yeah.
I still put sign in D. I'm sorry, the faith is not there. So I guess this is unfair, but I'll just say D tier. I don't actually mean no chance, because obviously they actually literally mathematically have a chance. Like one of them is guaranteed.
More than a shot. One of them is gonna qualify.
Yeah,
Wait,
but how
it's
many are in
13
there?
people and no chance in
Yeah, there's
groups.
13, so 1 divided by 13, that's their chance. Anyway.
No, actually, more than one. Because this is the playoffs, which is 16. So 5 of them are gonna qualify.
No,
Yes.
it's three
I
per
think it's
group.
straight. I think it's
three per
straight to
group.
round of
That
12.
was-
Oh, 3 per
Because they're gonna
group?
do. Yeah, because it's 3 per group, and then the one person seeds further along. If that makes sense. So they'll do.
Oh, okay.
There'll be 4 matches, so that's 8 people, and then the 4 people that go out first will play the winner of that. So they start.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. It's 12. Okay. Firefly, I'm sorry. Cyan, I'm sorry. No chance. I mean, stats might be no chance. I like Trigger, and he's a cool guy, but Trigger to me might be in the no chance category.
What if this is just HaRT ranking them by how handsome they are, and he didn't tell us?
You figured me out. Kind of is actually. Anyway.
Bro, you put Showtime in D.
D.
You put
No.
Showtime in D in a handsome list. What the fuck
I
is
care
wrong
about personality, okay?
Showtime, almost the most handsome player.
Wait, who is the most handsome?
I'm not gonna say.
Okay. Do you want me to say
I'm
it?
not gonna-
Oh
No.
yeah, it's
I'm not
Lorimbo.
gonna say.
We know the
If you-
nationality.
If I say it, you can tweet at him. Oh yeah,
No,
let's just say nationality and then people can guess.
No, because I think there is only one good looking player. No, okay, no. Let's just not talk about this. No.
If I'm being serious with my tier list, Scarlet, Spirit, Hero Marine, Bunny, Rag, Estrella, and Showtime, I would move up to C pretty easily. Showtime, obviously in Group of Death, is going to be rough. That might put him down because he needs to be not just like one of the top. Like, I don't know, he's one of the best players in the world, but to get out of that group, he needs to be like the third best player in the world, basically. So it's a tall order for anyone, you know. We have to say goodbye to like one of Hero, Maru, Dark, Reina. It's crazy. For me, Showtime, unfortunately, is going to be in D for that one. Anyway, can compete for playoffs. Don't worry about playoffs. That's fine. These are the people you need to watch. These are the people in playoffs.
HaRT starts watching a tournament in the semifinals.
Yeah. Grand
It's
finals.
to go.
The last game of the grand finals. Sometimes I miss it because I always assume it goes for 7 games and then I just miss it. And when it finishes in 4, it's fine. It's a bad
HaRT sees the
system.
grand finals is starting. I'd check in 1.5 hours. It'll be
Okay,
fine.
I'll carry on. Group B. These are now genuinely serious. The people that I think are unlikely to win but could make a good run. Oliveria last year would have been in D tier easily, you know, like before the 2023 Katowice. Now that he's won it, we have to come back and be like, okay, you know, you're automatically B. That was like the easiest pick of my life. He has a chance to win it. Unlikely to win, but could make a good run. I think it's unlikely again, but could make a good run. Bjorn, it always depends about form, and especially like how much he stops for his wrists and that sort of thing, which is kind of like out of his control, but rough, and you know affects how well he can play and you know how much he can play. So that's important for that. I guess Hero I probably should have put higher. This was before Masters Colosseum that I made this. I think, pretty sure. So Hero I've put in unlikely to win, good run, likely though. But if I'm being honest, like, is he as likely to win as Oliveira? Like, not really. He's definitely above that. Kira and Gumiho, I think this is where they belong. I think putting either of them any higher or any lower is trolling. But I think that a good run would be like realistic for them. Like Champion Gumiho, I don't see it. Champion Kyo, I don't see it. Chance to win, Reina, like, is getting his form back, but it's so up in the air. For this one, compared to everyone else, I actually bumped Maru down. I think his form didn't look amazing lately. He can always turn it on. He can always like just be good. I don't know how he just like just is good at this point. He just has a switch, and if he flicks it, he's like one of the best in the world easily. And if he doesn't, then chance to win is as good as I can give him, basically. And then Solar, again, coming off of a win of GSL, which is good, and it was a good run, but I don't think he's, to me, proven like consistency yet. So I guess for chance to win, I'm putting in A category all the people that I think are inconsistent, but good enough at their peak to do it, but inconsistent. Okay, my boy Dark has to win it. I'm calling it. I would be taking money bets for this one. He will do it, I believe. But if he doesn't, then it's going to be Clem or Serral. Clem, to me, is the favourite to win the whole thing. I think the way he played in Atlanta, if he can do that every tournament, is insane. It's unbeatable. It's like...
I think maybe Reno at this peak could compete with that.
Do you think, really?
Yes,
because Serral was struggling, or did struggle. He did lose.
I think Reno at his peak and Clem at his peak are both better than Serral.
Crazy.
I know. Okay, wait. I think Serral is the best player in the world, consistently. Like, he has been the best player in the world forever. But there have been points where I thought other players have played better, especially players that are slightly inconsistent and can be higher. Reno, like, HaRT, I don't know how to express in 2021 and 2020, when the online tournaments were on, I cannot express to you at one point how dominating Clem and Reno looked at that point. They were unbeatable. Like, it's insane. They were beating Serral consistently at that point. Well, as consistently as you can beat Serral, of course. That's the thing. I think their highest point is higher than Serral because they just have insane mechanics. Like, Serral's strength. Okay. There is no point in StarCraft. There is no aspect of StarCraft in which Serral is not incredible. Yeah. But if I had to pick one, I definitely, as far as speed goes, both Clem and Raynor can go. Like that, the sheer multitasking of these monster machines can be higher. Just for that aspect.
I would say one other aspect. One other one.
One?
Is
which one?
Creativity. I think
I disagree
Clem,
with you.
Maybe not Raynor, but Clem, with the Terran openings, as they have been lately, have been like all over the place. And I think that makes them really unpredictable and really hard to play against. Serral did a few different builds that are kind of like opponent specific and map specific, but in general, he's pretty predictable. And that's why, to me, Atlanta went to the late game so often, and then in the late game, Clem just outplayed him. It's just because he's too comfortable, too predictable. That's my opinion.
I think Serral for this tournament is gonna do his A game, and his A game includes a lot of, especially because he knows people like to pretend that he's like a very late game oriented player, which he is. Don't get me wrong. I've seen him do the builds. I mean, one of the builds that Serral did was mine. Shout out to my boy Eric for
Did he pay you royalties for that yet?
No, he didn't pay royalties, but I did tell him that the Queen Drop build was made by Eric with me.
Yeah, it was my build, but shout out for Eric for the build, by the way. It was great.
And also, it was inspired by Reaper, who was the first person to do the Queen Drop.
No, I mean, it was not really inspired, I wouldn't say. Like, Reaper's, like, it was a Queen Drop, but it was a very different one. Reaper's Queen Drop was...
If you're putting a Queen in an Overlord, then it's a
Reaper
build.
Yeah, and if you're proxying Hatch, then it's a Lorimbo build, like, but that metric.
True. And if you lose, then it's a HaRT build.
Yeah, true. But yeah, jokes aside, I think Serral has more variety that you're giving him credit for.
No, I think that's fair. But I don't know. I think that's a secret weapon for Clem to pull out a little bit. I don't know. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's the real tier list.
What did I
hear?
It's the real tier list.
I made a real tier list. Now I misplaced stats. Stats should also be enough chance and groups.
Your hand slip.
I couldn't bother. So here. So first place, Polska Gurun, the only Polish player. Let's go Spirit.
This is the Polish tier list.
He's got the home crowd.
How Polish are they? I think Spirit is of course the most Polish. But if you think about it, stats as the Slav squad too. So he's a bit Polish too. So this is how Polish are they?
Skillis is slightly Polish, surely. He's he's from Russia, but he lives in the Netherlands. The medium point between them, that's Poland. Think about it.
Yeah, now we're going.
Wait, there's a joke I have to type that because I'm not allowed to say it, but
right, sure. Okay, so this is I'm amazed at this amazing tier list.
So if Skillos actually stayed in Poland after getting trapped, he would also be in the favorite category. But
true.
He decided to move to the Netherlands. Also, I would put in Christianer here if he didn't move to. I'm pretty sure he's moved to Germany, right? Not 100. I'm pretty sure. So he would also be in the S tier, even though he isn't even playing.
Christiana.
Yeah, we should add a Christianer in the S tier. I agree.
Lorimbo, can I say that joke, or is that too much?
No, that's
No,
way
we'll
too
leave it.
much.
We'll leave
That's
it.
way
We'll leave
too
it.
much. We leave that joke. That joke was for the Patreon special, which we don't have. We don't have a Patreon. Like and subscribe for the Patreon.
True.
If you make us rich, we are gonna do content. I'm actually gonna do so much content, guys. For everything. Anyway, so this is
This is the real tier list. Thank you, Fjant.
This is the real tier list.
Yeah. Well, he's got the home
Thank
crowd,
you,
you know. What was
The home
because I was in Katowice last year, like unironically talking now, and every game Oliveria won, the hype got like stronger and stronger, and then he's such an emotional player. After every win, he was like standing up, fist pumping, and just like the energy was getting higher and higher. And I don't think that's magic. I don't think that made him win. But I will say that must feel awesome to have like the entire, the whole thing was packed. People were standing around the edges because there were not enough seats. People were like on their feet, clapping constantly. After about game 3, I think, we were freaking out. And to hear like everyone support you in that way must really help. And what I will say is psychologically for Maru, to have like an entire stadium of people basically wanting you to lose, it's got to be that's got to be pretty rough on the odd mental, I would assume, right?
Yeah,
That's one interesting thing about a CSGO major one, because they held a CSGO major in Brazil, and the Brazilian team was in, I think it was the semifinals.
Oof.
And the team that they versed, I think it was Heroic, managed to channel that energy. It was a 360 arena as well. It was surrounded by Brazilian fans. They managed to take that energy and turn it into their favor. But you have to be really good, because I imagine it can be really easy to just fall flat.
Yeah, I wanted also to mention that last year Oliveira's run was one of the most amazing things I've seen in all my 23 years of life. I will tell you a story. I was on a train for going from Milan, because I casted the event live in Milan with the Italian casters. And I was there. I was chilling them in the Titan game room, and then I had to go back to Bologna, where I live, from Milan, and I unfortunately could not watch the final with the casters, because otherwise I would never fucking get home. So I get on the train and I start watching it. I'm not. It was terrible. I went through tunnels and they keep cutting out. So I was like, "What? Is he winning? What is going on?" I have no fucking 5-minute breaks, etc. I'm not ashamed to say I cried when he won. Well, the speech was made me tear up. It was such a good speech. In fact, it was such a good speech. I translated and subtitled. It took me like an hour of work in Italian just to let everyone in the Italian community, because a lot of people in the Italian community do not speak English. Yeah, and I wanted people to, because I thought it was such a beautiful, touching moment. I don't know if he had prepared the fucking speech, or if he's just that good at it. Actually insane public speech.
Honestly,
no way you prepared this
I think that was
no
fully from the heart. From the heart. He just said 100% what was going through his mind.
It was such a beautiful speech, and my man Oliveira's proved to be not only a champion in esport, but also a champion of life. I will mention one more thing. In the same event, Oliveira, by his own pocket, has sponsored the travel and cost of other Chinese players who had problems, and other players in general, if I recall correctly. I don't exactly remember what happened, but there were a lot of troubles that involved a decent chunk of money, and Oliveira's offered to, before he won it, when he didn't, were as far as Oliveira knew, he was gonna get away with that tournament with $0, or whatever the minimum you can win.
Yeah, it wasn't much. Yeah,
it wasn't that much, and he still offered to cover to cover the cost. So I'm personally, outside of the people I think are gonna actually win, I will never. I don't think any of the top S tier players that I've put in my tier list will make me as emotional as Oliveira did.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of hoping that I get proven wrong, and one of my C tier, B tier, or D tier player make it all the way to the final to relive a bit of that magic.
Yeah,
I mean,
with the story
you say
is where
all
you
of
watch.
this, but then again, if Spirit wins, and he comes upstage,
Kurwa
starts speaking
mać.
Polish to the crowd.
Ja pierdolę!
Bober kurwa! And the crowd
Bober,
responds, Bober kurwa.
I was gonna say,
I would tear up.
you know, it's really important to, because this was the year that they turned off the Chinese servers, and it was really then weird, like how the Chinese scene would kind of go from there, because obviously you don't have your own server to play on even anymore is kind of crazy. I think basically they've mostly moved to the Korean server, but the Chinese scene is doing really well. Obviously is SC Boy, who's Chinese, runs the like Masters Coliseum events and that sort of thing, WTL. So they're clearly doing pretty well, and like you're saying, it's him kind of investing in that scene. What I will say is, the people going to Katowice could invest in the Polish scene, and the way to do this is laser pointers. At the Football World Cup, whenever there's a penalty, they start shining laser pointers in the opposing goalkeeper's eyes. And all I'm saying is, I've never seen anyone play good StarCraft with a laser shining in their eyes. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying that if you care, if you want to see Spirit win the whole thing, there are ways. There are ways to do it.
There are ways. Well, he has to get to playoffs first because they don't have crowd.
True.
In the group stage thing.
Okay, we'll see. I'll bump him up to could make playoffs on my tier list just for that. Okay, that's kind of
Have a
Katowice.
chance to win.
Have a chance to win. If with a little asterisk with laser pointers. Okay. So that's
How
kind
much
of
does a laser pointer
Katowice.
cost? Can he afford it? I mean, he's gonna win $170,000.
It's an investment.
You
No,
invested in the
150.
Yeah, okay, but think about the economy going around. Like all of those merchants around Katowice selling laser pointers are gonna make a fortune.
Yeah, basically
See,
the city of Katowice should be the one sponsoring the laser pointer trade. That'd be a really good business for them.
there's a Polish team in the CS playoffs, right?
See?
They made an insane run. Like
Yeah.
they were gonna get knocked out first in their group pretty much, and they made it to playoffs. So the laser pointer stocks, bro, invest.
Invest in laser pointers.
Last year when we were in Katowice, the first bar we happened to go to was where literally all of the CSGO players were. So there was like Simple, who I don't care about CSGO, but Simple was like sat right across from us. And then on the table next to us were the team that had just won with their massive trophy, just chilling. That was pretty cool to see. And it is a very big trophy. I don't think the StarCraft one was pretty big too, actually. The StarCraft one is weird because it's massive, but there's only been like, I don't know, a handful of winners. So it's not that full. Like there's not that many names on it. It's mostly blank. So I guess we need to hope for like another 2 decades of StarCraft esports so that we can like fill the trophy up. Don't know.
Absolutely.
That's kind of Katowice covered.
Yeah.
I thought we could talk now about your favorite game, Fjant. Stormgate. Have you played much Stormgate lately?
I think I have 4 games. I'm 3-2-1, and one of them was an insta leave.
Oof. That's a 75% win rate. Already a pro player.
Already a pro.
No, jokes aside. Okay.
So why only 4 games? Well, 3 games and an insta leave.
You know, I've been playing this game where I've been running it down top lane every time, but still winning, called League of Legends. And it's a great game to play if you want to smash like a window, a wall, something expensive, very hard.
Yeah. I will say, okay, I've known Fjant for a long while now, okay? I've never seen him mold as a... Okay, there are 2 things that make Fjant mold the fuck out. One is playing League of Legends. The other one is when I call myself the GVP god.
Well, then there's 3.
I'm playing against Angry, of course. I forgot about that one. How could I forget? So
laser pointers.
But in the like watching Fjant play LoL has been actually astounding. But going back to Stormgate, because that's the content that the people want to hear about. This podcast is gonna be terrible because it's not talking about Stormgate.
True.
I want to say something incredibly controversial, okay? I never thought I would be saying this. I'm actually starting to unironically somewhat enjoy the game.
No way.
Is it Stockholm Syndrome again? Am I getting zero space?
Yeah, you did say this about Zero Space towards the end, definitely.
Yeah, maybe I'm just getting used to it. And maybe it's because I feel like the EVE matchup has somewhat stabilized enough that there's actually cool things you can do. And I also really like the new Conclave opening. I'm gonna publish guides for those things too. In Inferno versus Vanguard. But first of all, I actually want to address some of the things, okay? Some of the I've been looking a lot at criticism. I have a lot of criticism myself towards the game. I think some of the stuff I've read in Reddit is very unfair towards the game.
That's Reddit. That's the whole point. It's always
Yeah, no, but I wanted to balance, because in the previous podcast I realized that I might have come off as someone who hates Stormgate. I like the game. I really, really do. And to prove that, I'm gonna talk about the things that I actually like.
No, this is fair. I like the balance. Go for it.
I'm gonna talk about the things that are actually really cool. So first off, I completely disagree with people who say that the graphic is bad. Bro, what the have you been playing the same StarCraft I've been playing? Are you just getting used to it? Or like, what the fuck is going on? Like, StarCraft, like, the most amount of beauty StarCraft has, the shiny thing, the shiny Protoss thing that Bonan likes so much. I genuinely don't know. Like, I think Stormgate has pretty good graphics. And I will tell you something more. While I really, really, really liked the Magmadon when it was a big block of red or purple, because it was actually super cool, I'm getting used to the new skill. I really like it. The imp thing is beautiful. Most of the Vanguard units feel really distinct. And for example, the thing I will say is I've never had a problem where I couldn't tell which units were which. The one thing about visual clarity is Magmadons versus Magmadons. I think you need stronger colors because it's actually impossible to tell which Magmadons are which. I've played a lot of EVE in Magmadons versus Magmadons fight. Half of the time, you just pray that you got the right Magmadons, because it's very hard to tell where your Magmadons are compared to his. So that is the one thing I will fix. And the other thing, I just don't think it's true. I don't actually think the game is unbalanced. I think the game has design problem, but if you look at the win rates above Platinum, the win rate is, I think, 51% to 49%, which maybe is slightly imbalanced, but I mean, a 1% difference is to be expected in the variation, to be honest. It's nothing too crazy. I do think there are design problems. If you look at the actual win rate by game length, for example, you will see.
Yeah, and that's the thing that is like it kind of feels worse in a way, because it always then feels like if I there gets to a point where you're like, oh, I'm now no longer favored to win this game, and then it almost is like, so why am I bothering to play it out? And that's kind of
infernal.
Yeah, that's Infernal versus Vanguard, where it's like, it leads to really weird games where you're like, I mean, I'm not in a good spot, but if this goes on for like another 10 minutes, I'm probably fine. Like, I'm on 4 bases. I'd love to get a 5th. I never will. But if he's going to keep attacking into me and I keep taking good fights, this is genuinely a winnable game.
If you are on 4 bases as Vanguard, usually that's a really good,
I would say, like,
a very good spot already. It means that you're already in a spot where it's going to be significantly harder for the Infernal to do anything. Like, I think there are some problematic units. I really regret being so excited about the Exxon buff. I like the range buff, but I did not foresee the interaction I would have with the infinite kiting. I would never have thought. I still think veterans is a big problem, or a bigger problem, honestly, because it feels so frustrating when the units just have so much more health, DPS, especially the health.
It contributes to a bit of a snowball in the mirror matchup as well. It feels really bad when you're, for example, playing like dog versus dog, which does seem to be the way the matchup goes quite often, and then you have more dogs, but one of his dogs is a tier above yours, and it's like, firstly, really hard to gauge the fights, secondly, feels awful. Mostly, or not mostly, but a big part of that is that there are healing flowers. So, you know, if you have a tier 2 dog and then you go and grab a healing flower, you just have a full health tier 2 dog, or even I've seen like tier 3 dogs, so that one's rough for sure.
I really dislike healing flowers. For that reason, also, I think it's just a bit awkward to use.
Yeah.
You know what I've been lacking, though? Okay, so regardless how problematic it is in the Infernal versus Infernal matchup, the speed camp with the slow zone and like the fact that you can just play around it cutting, I'm fairly certain that's intentional. Because the slow zones are just too convenient, like the slow plants. So for people who don't know, around the speed camps there are purple, violet-ish slow plants that you can destroy to make a slow zone, which helps you clear the camp without tanking too much damage, especially in the early game. And that actually felt like really cool map design to me. And the other thing, let's talk about another thing actually. I don't know if you have noticed this. I don't know, because this is something that even Fjant can have an opinion on. I think there's a pretty decent amount of variety in the maps.
Yeah.
I got 4 times in a row.
Oh no, in the actual map pool there is only one right now, but I don't know if you have played the previous ones. I'm assuming you did at
Well,
least
yeah,
one.
when I had 5 FPS, I played the Sun mod. By the way, HaRT, I really like how we still have the Polish tier list. So if you watch this on YouTube and you like put your mouse
They don't
over
on
the
YouTube,
length,
but
it will always be.
Thankfully, only you guys can see the Polish.
Oh, only I can
tier
see
list.
it.
Yeah.
No,
I could
not
put,
the
I don't know, I could
Polish
put something
tier
else,
list.
something else for you. But yeah, on YouTube it's different now. I'm not gonna mess with it too much. So I don't want to break anything.
Yeah.
You know, if the producer got paid a bit more, it could be arranged. But
Okay, you know what, HaRT? I also chose to quintuple your play, and while we are at it, we also
amazing.
decuple Fjant's pay. What do
I
you
was
think about
already
that?
tripled.
Yeah, we are 30x at this point. You know, why not they make it 300x for good measure, right?
Very good match.
But
Hey, that
you
sounds
do
pretty good.
raise a good point because they have now changed the map, so it's now Secluded Grove is back on the now
Did
the
they?
ladder map. Yeah.
I played ladder. No, I played ladder too. It was still the old one.
Today. They
Yes.
pinged literally yesterday to say that Secluded Grove.
No,
would be
I played
the
this
map.
morning, so I think it's gonna be changed in the near future.
Okay.
But it doesn't
In any
change
case, it will
yet.
be Secluded Grove probably by the time this goes out. By the time you're seeing this, which is the map that was on the beta before this. I have to say, I don't think it's a good map. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm also a bit iffy on that one.
I'm nearly certain it's going to make the balance worse in this.
In which way, actually?
I have my 4 p.m. dinner.
Yes,
so
that's
gonna
not a
see you
problem.
guys.
Thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
Fjant. We really appreciate
Thank
your
you for
input.
being
We're going to
here.
talk about RTS games that you don't like and haven't played. So, thank you. Cool. It's just you and me now, Lorimbo. I've even fixed the scene, so it's just you and me now.
Wow, it's amazing.
Doesn't it feel so intimate?
Fuck off!
I don't know how the balance will change. I have a strong feeling that Inferno will get stronger on this map. I think a big part of the previous map was car spam, and the map is really good for car spam. Car builds. I don't know if you've seen cars since the change. Car builds are pretty much gone.
Actually, I've seen Kiban still uses them pretty often. Actually, you're wrong, and he wins a lot with them. There is a bit of potential there, but it's very tricky.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how the balance change, but the games I've played on that map in Inferno versus Vanguard felt significantly harder.
Really?
Yes, there are two big problems with it, with that map for Inferno. The first one is that you don't have good gases.
Yes.
Compared to in the current map, you can get a first base, a second base, and a third base, both of which with gas at a good distance. In Secluded Grove, you can get a first base, a second base, and a third base, and all of them have gas, but the natural gas is very far away. And that gas has been proven instrumental in the current state of Infernal versus Vanguard.
Yeah,
due to the fact
Magmadons.
For Magmadons, fast crabs, fast imps, depending on the dropper lord. Well, it's called Doombringer, etc. Like there are a bunch of things that you could make with that gas. And I'm not sure, like my experience on that map, you have seen the game, it will be published one of these games, the second game against Donilia. The other thing I will mention is compared to the previous map, that one feels like a huge giant corridor and a round one too. So you can kite forever as Vanguard. It feels very, very hard.
We've got to do production value. I can show the map.
Can we? Yeah.
Yeah, let me bring this in. Thank you, producer Lilypad, once again. Saves the day.
Yeah.
Production value off the charts. What? Ready? Oh, Fjant's little face is still going to be on this one. Ignore him. This is the new map, Secluded Grove. So you can see, and actually it doesn't show up very well on the picture, and you can't see kind of where I'm pointing. But in this map, the gases are covered, so you have to break them open before they start generating. So you can see there's kind of a darker patch in a diagonal line between the luminite, between the two luminites in the opposing two corners. There's a dark patch. That's where the gas needs to be broken open.
Red circle. There are small red circles. Those are where the gases can be broken, and those are where the gases are.
So I'm red circles, and I'm too colorblind.
Yes, you are too
Once
colorblind.
again, I'm discriminated against.
Yes, so
for those with normal vision, there are red circles, and those are where the kind of gas deposits are. So there's one kind of quite far, like you were saying, from your natural base.
It's in the middle of a natural and a third, and it sucks for both, basically. So ideally, traditionally, in the previous patch, the way to expand was to take the natural, of course, and then the triangular third. So by starting in the top right, the one on the middle top. But nowadays, I'm almost sure we are gonna see the bottom base more because there is not as much pressure. So the problem with that expansion was that it was kind of hard to expand that way. You know what I was wondering about? I was really wondering about if you would go like for the bottom right base as a third. Or even as a fourth.
So you do like the triangle and then you go through the trees and take the bottom one?
I don't think you do the triangle. I think you go full linear.
So you go linear and then keep the line kind of going and keep going towards the corners?
Yeah. Or even taking it as a third. Just because it does have access to gas, it can be really hard to scout on this map due to how big it is. So, or I could also see actually the way you were describing it, a triangle third and the top left one. I could also see that. The problem for that is that if your opponent goes for a linear expansion, then you have two bases very close to each other, which is also always a bit sketchy.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with that, is that it's now easier to get through the trees, takes a slightly less time, slightly fewer hits. So I think going for those kind of corner bases where somebody can open the trees and really expose the base is probably pretty scary, no?
Yeah.
I think the opposite. I think the problem I see with this map is rushing to the middle. And I think
that is another possibility, but
I think that favors Infernal, but I'm not really sure.
I think it doesn't actually favor. From my experience, it doesn't favor anyone.
Okay.
Because the thing is, in the previous patch, it was very problematic because first off, one of the two players always had very dominant map control, depending how the game went.
Yep.
Usually it was the Vanguard, but he couldn't really take that base because the Vanguard biggest weakness is that once you are pressed to a base, it becomes really hard to defend. Like the Vanguard biggest strength right now is that you can cut infinitely forever. There is no real way for the opponent to catch you. He can kite you a bit with crabs, like he can do some damage to reduce a bit of your kiting, but it's unfortunately not that impactful.
But what we saw last time we played this map is that people were going for car builds, getting across the map really quick with cars, and then they would kite you forever with cars. Once you got to their base, there's nowhere for them to kite, and cars aren't that good, like in a straight up fight. So we found that like you had to kind of play cars and get the harassment in, but then you couldn't really go on the map and kind of abuse your map control, because if you invested too heavy into eco, you would die to the big Infernal move out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said before, it feels the counterpoint to that is as Infernal, if you manage to take the base and fortified it, that's almost a game winning by itself, because you just outmine so much. But it's gonna be really, really hard to get to that position because the Vanguard can always harass and snipe that base, and it can be really, really annoying to catch it, especially because by the time you want to take your fort, which is where that base usually was taken as, Vanguard tends to have more map control. So that's like, as I said, in the games against Donilia, you can kind of see both the weakness as the Vanguard and the weakness as Infernal of taking the base, because we both take it at different moments, and we both get punished for it. So even though I think mine was due
so
to
it might
misplay,
just
not really.
it might work out like 50-50, where it ends up kind of not affecting anything.
The thing I'm really worried about, I don't know if this is gonna become a big problem or not. Look how corridor-ish this map is.
It's literally the next thing I was about to say. There's really limited attack paths, and that makes it much more predictable where the opposing army is going to be. And a big thing at the moment is like the vision control and that sort of thing. On this map, it's way easier to get vision of your opponent and know where they are and know what they're doing. And I don't know who that favors. I would guess tends to favor Vanguard.
I would also say Vanguard. I mean, it's not like game ending. It's not like the Vanguard win rate is gonna skyrocket to 70% or something. Oh my! I need to keep this stable. Not anything like that, but it's just something that I think is gonna shed more light to some of the more problematic elements of the matchup, which I'm a bit sad about, because I'm not gonna lie, HaRT, when the matchup works correctly, it can actually feel pretty good.
No, I agree completely. Yeah, I think it's genuinely pretty fun. I don't like it feels really bad as the Vanguard player when they just come across with like a few Gaunts and a few Brutes, and they just mess all of you up, and you're just like, I don't know what I meant to do. I just need to have more units than I have, and I can't without opening more economically, and then I would die to you coming across with 2 Brutes and 2 Gaunts. Or I need to just give up map control, and then I don't think that doesn't change anything, because then you show up to my base with a million fiends and
on the other hand,
more eco. So,
on the other hand, it can be extremely frustrating to watch you defend everything with just pure turrets. Like 5, like just so you know, like if, for example, if you have 5 lands and you make 5 turrets, it's impossible to kill that base.
Yeah, but
like I've had entire armies with like 10 magmadons crash into like a army half of my size plus turrets, and I would just get destroyed. Feels like there's very little counterplay, like very little things you can do about it.
It's really interesting to me, because in the previous alpha or beta, the previous beta, the exo turret was the one that was really scary and really strong.
Yeah.
And everyone was spamming those, and they were really good. And they had a damage nerf and a range nerf. And now it seems like the Lancer turret, which got slightly buffed, is the one that's really scary. And I switched from playing like exo turrets a lot to playing just Lancer turrets. They're just better, yeah.
They're so good. One of them can defend an insane amount of units by itself. Just the turret alone with the repair, of course.
Yeah.
And I think the most problematic interaction is with the overcharge. Yeah. Usually when you pull to repair a bunker, the downside
there's a weakness. And it's like, but I can see the unit that I need to kill to stop the repair on the bunker, and then I can kill the bunker.
Yeah, exactly. But you cannot do that right now, because you don't understand how hard it is to kill overcharge workers.
It's actually
hard.
Worse for you, because the overcharged Bob is probably harder to kill than the bunker is. So it's worse to try and hit.
But the bunker is just impossible if you pull like enough workers. Like it just has way too much healing. I really don't like that interaction, and at the same time, the other thing I'm afraid on this map is dogs are really good on this map.
Do you think? Even though the kind of attack paths are more obvious?
Yes. Because the thing was, so there are there are ways in which dogs are weaker and ways in which dogs are stronger. The ways in which dogs are weaker is that in this map the resource camps are really far away, so you can't just take all of the resource camp immediately and then also pressure me at the same time. If you want to commit to a resource camp as the as the Vanguard player, that poses a significant amount of wasted time, which I like. And the other good thing about it is that since your natural is not in such a fucking awful spot with the back of it exposed, you cannot do weird shit like using the dog owl to see. Why is that a thing, by the way? Why can the dog owl give vision of the high ground and you can snipe?
Yeah.
But do you know that you can snipe workers from below?
Yeah.
That's very little you can
No,
do.
because people do it in Vanguard versus Vanguard as well.
Yeah, but
I like it as a mechanic, but then you can't have, like you're saying, where workers are against the cliff, because, like you're saying, then you can just snipe workers up the cliff. On
no,
this map, like you're saying,
the other
like that
problem
doesn't
that
affect
I have
much.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is not that. That is actually very strong. The other problem you have to think about is that infernal units that actually are ranged, they cannot trade with Exos at all. Like the only reason why you can never win a fight is because of your strong melee units,
Yeah.
Brutes, Fiends, and Magmadons. So if you get in that position under the natural, it's almost impossible to break it because every unit that, like, if you send the range
you'd have
units
to
on top
run
of it,
all the way around to deal with
yeah,
anything.
if you send the range units on top of it, they're just gonna lose the fight. Because like Gaunts are never winning a fight against Exos. Maybe if you have crabs, you can like take your time, etc. And so you are forced to go down, but then you can just like escape. And it feels like you have wasted a big, like, the rotation is also very slow as the infernal player, so it feels very frustrating. So this map doesn't have that. But the one thing that is stronger about dogs, two folds. First off, this map we have seen the strength of the vision camp.
Yeah,
The vision camp gives a huge advantage to the aggressive player.
And that's still light, so
dogs,
still takes bonus from dog openings.
yeah, dogs can deal with it pretty easily because of the light tag on it, and that makes it so much harder for you to play at the infernal. Because one of the things that you can do as infernal usually is that you can send your units across the map, as you've mentioned, with two brutes, two gaunts, and as you said, it's very hard to deal with it. But one of the reasons why you can do it at the moment is because you have only one way for him to attack you. Well, you have two with the trees, but it's a bit sketchy.
No one's gonna do that. Yeah.
No, some people do, especially more aggressive players, but it's like a bit like this map has like legitimately two good openings. And you have a bunch of time which your opponent is usually clearing camps or stuff so they don't see you. But on this map, even if you just go clear the vision camp itself, because of the way it's shaped, the other guy can just run in, and the dogs are so quick they can completely outmaneuver you. And if you only send half of your army, then you run into the risk of losing it, because the vision gap, of course, in a way defends itself by giving you vision of the units that are going to kill it.
Yeah.
So as the dog player, I think there's gonna be a lot of potential playing around the vision camp and the multiple attack paths toward the natural.
I'm putting the map back on the screen. I took it off for a bit, but I'll put it back now. The one thing I will say is the vision camp, which is the camp that's closest to both bases, is the obvious choice for the dogs to take. I will say two things. First thing, the other camps are really far out of the way, and dogs are good for taking them, but they are away. You have to go out of the way to get them. So I wonder if when you see that the dogs have taken the vision camp, you can't just go and clear it, because by the time he brings the dogs all the way back,
that's a gamble though, because I don't know where the dogs are.
Because you don't know where the dogs are, it's for sure.
Because if the dogs are at the resource camp, that's 100% the correct play. But if you can also completely
if they're just not there, I can just clear the camp, wait for you to come and get it, and then go in and snipe your two gaunts.
No, you can snipe my two gaunts, you can snipe my entire mineral line. Like it's
yeah, that's true.
Like being out of position, like at least in the current map, you can like put turrets and stuff. On this map, you can also put turret, but the turret don't quite cover as well. I guess you put one very close to the natural itself, so you at least cover the mineral line. But there is no real quote unquote single entrance that you can cover. I don't know. It's a bit sketchy in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm mostly worried about, like, for all intents and purposes, outside of the vision camp things. I think dogs are gonna be weaker on this patch on this map. Especially because, for example, you don't have the back entrance with
through the trees.
Yeah, to the trees.
I will say the other thing. There is now, I forget which order the camps are in. Isn't it a speed camp that is now free? In the kind of dip around the trees, but next to a natural. So every infernal now gets a free, basically uncontestable speed camp. It's not completely uncontestable because, like you're saying, if I'm poking at the front with dogs and I see you leave for it, I can dive in the mineral line.
Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like most of the meta game is gonna revolve around the vision camp. Once you deny it, you have a lot more options as the Infernal. You can take your speed camp without being punished as hard. You can go across the map. Like there is a lot of counterplay at that moment. I think this map will be good. We can also talk about the other two matchups. I think for Infernal this map will be severely better than the current one. First off,
in IVI.
in IVI, yes.
Okay.
First off, there is no rushing to the camp anymore.
Yeah. No, it's completely impossible now to run all the way to your opponent's camp. It is not.
Yeah.
Not
like
theory build is dead.
Yeah, theory build is dead. Also, the map is already split in a way such that there's very little camps that you can actually steal from the opponent.
Yeah.
Like if you let's pretend that we are the Infernal at the top right. So you have if you go a bit down, there's the speed camp, and that one you get for free. It's impossible for your opponent to contest it. As well, okay, of course, if you're opening something like Hatch first, then it's gonna be harder. The same goes for the resource camp in the top, in the middle top. That one is also pretty much free, and so is the vision one. And once you get those, really, there are no more camps. Those are all the camps.
A health camp, which is going to take you ages to kill and gives you one fiend, is never really worth it, right?
I mean, the health camp is not problematic. Like, it's good if you can get it, because the Ethereum is useful for transitioning to the tier 2 and getting the Magmadons or getting the Doombringer, etc.
Yeah, but by the time you can actually get it, you need to have a pretty big army already, right?
Yeah, but it's also like the problem at the moment is that if you lose your speed camp, the game is over. If you lose your health camp, you're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, maybe I'm slightly behind, but not even. Like it's not nearly as impactful because it doesn't snowball at hard, and it's also much harder to kill. So I vaguely remember there being an extra two resource camps.
Yeah, so in each corner, I feel like they're not both resource camps, but I can't think what they are.
Yeah,
so they must be resource camps, right?
I'm getting a bit confused. I genuinely don't remember what they are, but there are, as far as I understand, there are 4 resource camps in the map total. I think
it must be 2 resource camps in both corners. That must be right.
I think it's gonna be pretty common to break the trees. For example, if you start in the top right, you can break the tip down to get those 2 resource camps from the speed. It's a very natural transition, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And
do you not think that leaves you a little bit open to more run-bys and that sort of thing?
Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Infernal versus Infernal is gonna change significantly, in my opinion. The early game is gonna be the very early game is gonna be slightly more stable, but this map cannot be walled. This map has 3 entrances. You can spam turrets close to your natural, and that covers everything, basically, of course. But if your opponent has a bigger army, it's much, much harder for you to hide behind your turret, and it's much easier to get surrounded. That's the thing. Still, I predict that this will probably the double conclave build is probably gonna die. I'm gonna publish a guide on it anyway, just in case it doesn't. Because it might actually be stronger due to how easy it is to attack. Because it is stronger on a map with less camps, paradoxically. Just because the less camps there are, the more the extra Gaunt matters, of course. And also the more likely your opponent is to go Hatch first. I think Hatch first is still gonna not be viable here, or even stuff like Iron Bolt Hatch is. I think Iron Bolt Hatch is even also probably not possible here because it's not already possible in the previous map, and on this one you cannot defend the entrance with the turret because as mentioned before there are multiple attack ways. I don't know, I feel like there are also if someone gets map control they can get to the middle base, so I feel like there are definitely a lot of different possibilities here, and I'm excited to see how EVI is gonna go.
It's worth saying as well, there are 2 gases on that middle base, so it's really pretty important. I had one thought. In the current map pool, air play is quite strong. And I think it might be slightly weaker on this map if you're taking the triangle base, triangle third. But I'm not really sure.
Oh, I've checked. There are 4 speed camps on this map and
Yeah.
4 resource camps.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how people are gonna go about it. Is there dead space for Gaunt drops? No, there is no dead space for Gaunt's drop. I think at least, but Gaunt's drop are gonna be stronger, in my opinion, because it's very unlikely. I think that you're gonna take the triangle third in Infernal versus Infernal. Actually, is it unlikely? Because if you take the line third, that one can be sniped by a Magmadon and Gaunt really easily.
Yeah, because they can bust through the trees there, and then they're completely on top of the base. Yeah. Whereas, at least with the triangle base, you have a ramp, so that gives you some kind of something to play around.
You have a ramp, and also you are not you cannot get from unspotted to directly into the mineral line, such as that base. There is a lot of space in the main base, though. Which
that's
might
what I was
allow
say. The main, like how big the main is, really helps for Gaunt drops. I feel like it doesn't change the play around Hornets that much.
No, I don't think the Hornets are gonna be a problem there, because the problem with Hornets is not the dead space. That is specifically a drop with drops mostly.
The distance between mineral lines is important for the Hornet. I guess if you're playing the,
I think it's the same distance.
Yeah, I think for the triangle, you can pop between those quite easily. But I guess then you can defend both of those quite easily if you put a turret with an exo in it, or just a turret on that high ground location. You can cover you can cover your gas and the third mining pretty well. The distance between the natural and the linear third looks really long. I think that'll be quite annoying to deal with planes around. But
yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely not sure how this is actually gonna play out, so I'm kind of excited to see this. But so far so good. We're gonna see how this plays out. What can you tell me about Vanguard versus Vanguard actually?
I haven't really got a good handle on the matchup at the moment. It does seem to be mostly dog versus dog at the moment, which means that because of rock paper scissors rules, basically somebody has to go. Some people were playing lancers because lancers can do pretty well against dogs. But then it just becomes like bio lancer exo medic versus lancer exo medic. So I don't really see this changing anything hugely. Dog openings obviously have a big kind of advantage when it comes to clearing the camps, but obviously those are the light camps. And in this case, there's the same number of resource camps as in the previous map pool. Hopefully things might like snowball less, because currently if you're like losing dog versus dog, it snowballs really hard and they get all of the camps. Because of how the resource camps are positioned on this map, it might be easier to kind of sneak some dogs to a corner and take the 2 resource camps, and then you're 2 and 2 camps instead of 4 and 0 camps, if that makes sense. I think taking the vision camp is going to be really important. And the thing that I have started to see is because people are still playing Hornets, people are now starting to play cars. So now I'm going to start playing cars as well, I think. And I think that we'll see a lot more cars again on this map because of the position of that vision camp and how annoying it is to kind of deal with the cars as they dance around the 2 kind of entrances to the high ground there. I would think we'd see more cars come back. Would be my prediction, I think, for Vanguard on this map.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think with the change in the most recent patch, I think they are definitely playable, and there's some high level players that have started to bring the cars back. I don't know hugely how it will affect too much. I think what Donilia did in his game against you, that will be going up on the channel today, on the day of recording today, kind of gambling and taking that middle base is really interesting. I think it's a gamble, and I think the natural third base option for Vanguard is going to be the triangle base. The linear one is too exposed for the reasons that you said. Not so much in Vanguard versus Vanguard, because no one really makes lancers for breaking trees, but still.
How impactful is gas mining exactly in Infernal versus Vanguard? Do you need the third gas, or are you fine with going for a? Because I feel like since I mostly see dogs into lancers, I feel like early gas mining is not as important, right?
No, and some games I will not mine my natural gas already, so that doesn't really affect things until you start getting towards the late game. But in the late game,
also you can get the Ethereum refiner.
Yes, I can't remember which one's called. In any case, Vanguard have a building to mine gas without away from a command post. So the red dot that's kind of between the natural and the third base, you can bust it open and put a gas mining there, and that is really good. Or you can proxy it and hide it, or you can kind of invest less in taking the middle base and just take a gas there, and then your gas mining is really strong there as well. In general, gas is not that important. Mostly mostly in both matchups, Vanguard and Vanguard versus Infernal, it becomes basically Lancer, Exo, Medic. So you make as many Exos as you can with your gas, and then medics, as many medics as you can, and then as many Exos as you can, and then as many Lancers as you can. So the gas is not hugely important. That said, if cars get played more, we might see more mech play. And then the natural kind of thing is tanks. Vulcans, I think, I'm going to be honest, I think they're bugged at the moment. I think if you hit a body, like a ragdoll that's from a dead unit, the Vulcan will stop its charge if you hit.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
I also,
so I think that's not
balance
great.
nota.
Hmm?
Balance nota. Have you seen the resurgence of Atlas in top level Infernal versus Vanguard?
Yeah, I think it only got better. I don't know why it kind of went away.
Yeah, and have you seen how the changes I discussed, how impactful they were?
Yeah, for sure. It's a really good unit.
Like, it's, as I said, once the meta stabilized and people kind of figure out how to survive the first minutes, we have seen the resurgence of units such as the Atlas that with the buff, which was very significant in my opinion, they are even more annoying. I will say, thankfully, the Shadow Flyers are not bugged anymore, so you can actually deal with it. But there is a very neat trick at the moment. You can use your shield to tank infinite Shadow Flyer, and if you time it properly, there is nothing the Infernal Praetor just loses all of his Shadow Flyers, because once they lock on a target, quote unquote, you cannot control them anymore. So it's a bit tricky, but Mix was played it against me, and I think I've seen Eric do it too. So it's definitely a trick to keep in mind for the drop play, at least for the tanky vac, let's call it.
Yeah. It's really strong for sure, and definitely I think will be seen more. Maybe not because of the map, but just because of how the meta is evolving. Seems to be the direction things are moving in. It might be worse because of the map, since there's less gas mining, but we'll see.
Okay, so I think this probably wraps it up for the second episode.
Yeah, we can tease the next one. What are we talking about next week?
Okay, so hear me out, guys. Watch me.
Everyone
next week. Shh, I'm gonna tell you a secret. Actually, it doesn't work because the microphone isn't here anymore. It's here. So, okay. Next week we're gonna talk about Zero Space.
What is Zero Space?
Zero Space is a competitive RTS games that is at the moment is one of the main competitors to Stormgate. Of course, we are big fans of both games because this channel is called AllThingsRealTime and not All Things Stormgate. Don't miss the episode. Don't miss this one, of course, but don't miss that episode, guys, because it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna probably have a banger guest, and we might. Well, first off, you are gonna have the perspective of someone who has finished top. Wait, what was it? Top 8 in the world.
Top 8, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was spacing out. Top 8 in the world.
You had your PTSD flashback to Nam.
Yeah. We are gonna talk about some of the problems that I have with the game. I'm gonna tell you a lot of secrets behind the scenes because I'm very informed about certain things that happened. It's gonna be really cool. I'm gonna see if we can get the special guest. You're gonna get exclusive feedback that is you're not gonna get from a lot of other people because not a lot of other people have played the game as much as I did and experienced as much as I did, including the tournament part of it. So it's gonna be a banger episode. Do not miss it out. It's gonna be cool.
I was gonna say I've been enjoying Steam Next Fest, as I think a lot of the folks who have gotten to Stormgate have come through Next Fest. For those that didn't back on the Kickstarter already have a beta key. the only game that I really put a decent number of hours into is called Gatekeepers. It's not an RTS. It's a bit like Binding of Isaac crossed with Risk of Rain. Found it really fun, so you should check that out. Remember, was shaking his head because he's been playing Age of Empires. That's the only other game I've seen you play a lot of lately.
Yeah, I played a LOL too. I played Zero Space Storm. I played mostly RTS plus LOL sometimes, but yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've seen the game that HaRT is talking about. It does look like a lot like Risk of Rain, but
the music is good and it's good fun. So check it out if you are looking for other demos on the old Steam Next Fest. That's going to be it for All Things Real Time. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I think we might have mentioned that.
Like and subscribe.
And of course, thanks to our special guest Fjant for this one, and we wish him all the best in his future endeavors, which I guess will be Home Story Cup, whenever that ends up being. Unsure.
It's in June, 20th of June, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Of June. Anyway, see you all, guys. Thank you for being here. More content is gonna be published soon. Watch the cast. Actually, they're pretty cool games from top players. I know you guys don't really know yet which players are good, which are not, but I can promise you most of the cast of this game are gonna be of premier quality, and all the players involved are gonna either be me or other players that are really, really good at the game. So don't miss out on that content because it is good. Like, you can see some really in-depth strategies, and I'm gonna explain my thought process as a top Stormgate player. And now I go around winning games,
playing those games. But the guides are doing really well as well. So there's more guides
thank you guys
on the way too.
The guys are doing really well, and you guys have been so supportive. I've got so many thankful messages saying me, "Oh, thank you, Lorimbo. Thanks to your beginner guys, have won 5 games, 6 games in a row." I'm really starting to feel like I understand it. So I'm really glad those are helping. No, those were beginner guys. We're gonna produce some more beginner guys, even for Vanguard, I think. And then we're also gonna, we're gonna get some more advanced ones too. Anyway, thanks for being here as always. Do not miss out on the next episode of the podcast and the next content that we're going to publish. Go check out the videos. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Love you. Love you, Lorimbo. Say it back.
No.